All right, let's get into how would we defeat ISIS here. Now, first of all, you understand that ISIS is basically a group of psychopaths that have manipulated people to turn against their own culture and basically turn against it. So basically, ISIS has a bunch of kooks that'll chop off heads, do all the stuff, say Abu Akbar, no God but God. And they're oftentimes the new recruits. Traditionally, they wanted to go to Syria, but the problem was they would end up getting killed the first day in battle in a lot of cases. So ISIS has tried to recruit people to basically launch attacks on anything that's not part of Islam in another country, basically. And they've made enemies out of Muslims. They want to destroy anybody that's not an extremist in their mind like them. So they see everybody as an enemy, even Al Qaeda. So basically, what's been happening is they've been having political leverage where they've manipulated people who don't know who they are, who often are empty little losers, to think that there's some calling. And so ISIS basically took territory from Syria and Iraq, and they still have it today. So basically, the way to beat ISIS would be you'd have to win politically here, and you'd use the CIA, you'd use a lot of intelligence, and just humiliate them with people. See if you could buy a person from them that was really young and get it in the news of Al Jazeera that, they're doing this stuff and bring it to everybody's attention. Oh, ISIS is selling little girls for sex. And you could get lots of Muslims to want to get rid of them in their own turf. You could go in there and take ISIS and get a bunch of people that are motivated by them and then convince them through media and stuff that ISIS are phony, baloney, fanatical wackos. When people go to visit these people and join them and fight with them, they want to leave. They don't want anything to do with these weirdos. They're in a sausage fest full of body odor under a tent sitting there ranting and raving, and they're just kooks. So basically what they have done is they've used terrorism and coercion and all this stuff and the elements of Saddam Hussein's Baathism with the foreign elements of the Saudi Wahhabi and Al Qaeda combined. And it's a synergistic situation here. And after they were battling Iran, basically in the sectarian stuff where the Sunnis and the Shia were going at it, it basically created this group of extremists. So on one side of Iraq with the Shia, you have Maliki, who's aligned with the Shia and Iranian influences. And then in western Iraq, you have ISIS, which is basically the extremists that make the Taliban look like secular Muslims compared to everybody else. I mean, these guys absolutely make the Taliban look soft. And the Taliban are psychos too. But you realize the way to beat these people is basically you can drop bombs, but you got to destroy their ability to recruit in the population. And like in Europe, they need to start silencing the imams and talking about, promoting cultural tolerance on both sides, including Muslims tolerating non-Muslims in scores. And until they start really pressuring the imams and all these people to stop getting people who've moved to Europe to not want any part of the country and to act like they're better than that country, because that's part of ISIS. And ISIS wants to manipulate people out of their culture, thinking it's bad to just destroy every culture that's not theirs. They absolutely want to just eradicate anybody that is not like them. They need to be exterminated. And so the way to do it is you got to trick them and bait them and play them. Because ISIS are stupid idiots that can't stand up a second in battle, so they chop off heads of helpless people and abuse anybody they can. So basically, the way to do this is you can drop bombs, but you have to use efficient use of resources in the art of war. And you got to be able to basically fool them and destroy their ability to recruit and get the people who were convinced by them to change their mind. And that's the ultimate way of getting them out of business, because you can drop bombs, call it a war, but who's next? ISIS is one of those situations with the social pressures in that part of the world and the social situation. It's dangerous because it's predisposed towards ISIS, because if parents are selling their kids into slavery because they can't afford to make ends meet, ISIS profits. And if the government doesn't have control over that part of Iraq, ISIS has absolute power. So this is the other thing. And getting the United Nations in there to deal with social issues and remove the conditions that would support ISIS would really be the solution. And doing irrigation in the Middle East, getting it back to the Fertile Crescent, trying to, fight the extremists and their attitudes would probably be a good thing. If people could get in there and get the countries that support ISIS to stop supporting them through sanctions and other stuff, you could probably wipe them off the face of the earth.